My name is Derek Satnik. I want to say it's a pleasure to be here this morning, but I have to confess it's really not. This is one of those events that's not supposed to need to happen. And with that introduction, I'm going to dive into my personal take on where we're at. I wear several hats as well. Dara and I cross paths in many different circumstances. Gerald and I cross paths in many different circumstances. And I've had the privilege of meeting many of you on different occasions as well. Today I'm here representing the process of creating standards and of using those in a way that works for the public, in a way that works for the people who are supposed to use those standards. Today we care about manufacturers and builders, building safe and good homes, and about many things that come up when you have that conversation. I wear one hat at the Canada Green Building Council. I wear another at Build Green Canada. I wear another for Natural Resources Canada. I have many of these hats. And it's a privilege that I enjoy and am very thankful for. And it's one that affords me a perspective on how you write rules and on how you write them right, correctly, good, so people can use them. And so they actually help. There are lots of rules that do not help. And today, I propose to you, this is a rule that does not help, and should, and could. And there's a lot of work that has been done at this table to make sure that it does. So from Mindscape's point of view, in my day job as a consultant, we carry licenses from many of these agencies, government agencies, industry agencies, and others. And our job is to teach people how to use these programs and to teach them how to use them in a way that makes sense for the people who will ultimately have to live with them. And in this case, we're talking about homeowners living in a house built to a program. Through the work that I've done with many of these national committees, there are things you do and things you don't do when you create a standard. When you're creating a building code, there's laws in place on how you write that code to begin with. There are other laws in place on how you get content into that code, on how you change it. It's very complicated, perhaps more complicated than it should be, but with the general motif that we want to protect the public. This is important. We can't have homes collapse on people, so it's a complicated process. Inserting energy into that process is even more complicated because energy is the biggest budget that any of our governments has to deal with. And it's the most complicated beast that any of our engineers ever need to solve. So it's a doubly complicated process. To integrate energy into our building code has taken years and continues to take iterations upon iterations. So Dara has just explained to you how this SB12 guidebook, recipe book, is trying to make sense of that complicated process and give builders a simple map. Recipe 1, recipe 2, recipe 3, you choose whichever flavor you like and do that. If you want to be a chef, you can write your own recipe and get it approved, but we warn you, it's a complicated process, and you just heard that. To pick a recipe is the desired approach, it is the simplest approach, and it is the most exclusive approach. Building officials like it because it's simple. Builders like it because it's simple, and the goal should be to keep it simple. This is good. Simple should save costs, should protect safety, should help everyone. Unless we advantage some technologies in an unfair way, disadvantage others, and even more so if we've not done our homework. Having worked on many codes and standards, I can say the process under which this one was created, I find questionable. And I don't like saying that, but it's true. The government is a government. It has everyone telling it what to do all the time, and no one agrees. We wish we could say we agree, but we don't. That is the beauty and that is the danger in a democracy. Things sometimes take longer. This government that we have has specialists that they work with, very competent, very reputable people. But not everyone can be perfectly right every time. And therefore, when the government needs help to create something complicated, they hire help. In this case, what they should have done is asked the industry to bid. They normally would. And they would ask many players to tell them why they are the best player to solve this complicated problem. In this case, there was no bid. There was one expert who is competent, but didn't do the right job this time. And there was no opportunity for that to be challenged. There was no opportunity for that to have been done right. I question that. The outcome wasn't bad, but wasn't good. And that's confusing when it's already complicated. So we've done much work over the last year plus to try to make something that's not good into something that is good. And here you see many numbers from many geeky engineers, I am a geeky engineer, trying to make sense out of this complicated process so that normal people can use it, so that normal builders can build it, so that it's safe and it doesn't waste money. We all know energy prices are changing. We also all know, as construction industry professionals that construction costs are changing. So when our government creates a new rule, it's not just about safety, it's not just about a new rule. In every sense, it's about the economy. And when we talk about green jobs, and we talk about taxes, and we talk about energy prices, we don't realize we're talking about houses, we're talking about products, we're talking about food, we're talking about everything. So when we change a rule that makes a house a slight bit more complicated to build, we lose $50 million out of the economy with one poor choice. And it is that simple. It's a poor choice, it's a big loss. And you either create more taxes to come up with more money to solve a problem that you should not have created, or you step back and ask more questions. We have stepped back and asked many more questions, and it's been difficult for us to get those questions answered. So I would suggest to you that the Ministry of Housing, like most other government agencies, is stuck in a hard place where they have made some tough choices, not all well, and in this case have been resistant to receiving good help, and that's frustrating. Dara has outlined the process, and Dara has outlined and shown you that there are already 2 changes that have been made to this complicated recipe book, because they knew it wouldn't be perfect the first time. So to their credit, they have been willing to update it and to change it. We've done a lot of work, not just with Gerald's company, but with others in this industry. This is not a biased thing. This is a shared concern. By 20% of the industry, or 1 in 5 new homes, wants to use this technology and can't because it's now complicated. They can. Dara explained how. But it's the custom order from the backstock from where you have to do extra work. It's not a recipe that's on the shelf. So we have prepared those recipes, we've brought them to the shelf, and we're being told that we're not allowed to use them. And we're trying to get that fixed. And this press event is about getting that fixed. The drain water heat recovery technology is cost effective, it's simple, it's durable, it hides away just like energy typically does. So it's not as easy to see. But it's far less complicated than most other options, and it re-injects that $50 million that's lost back into the economy, where it should be hiring people and doing work, not just wasting time. And right now, it is a bureaucratic waste of time. My conclusion, briefly, is that drain water heat recovery has been wrongly missed. Not by incompetent people, they're good, but they're not perfect at everything. No one is. The process was inadequate. This technology has been missed and should not have been. It is an Ontario-grown technology. Ontario has for years been exporting knowledge to the world, and all of the residential housing programs around the world, many of you won't know this but should be proud, came from Ontario. Canada has great research, has been world-leading for generations, and European housing standards are now based on Canadian technology. So it's tragic, but little surprise, that drain water heat recovery is exported to Europe, and we can't get it approved in Ontario. Think on that. $54 million wasted, 200 builders told to be more complicated. There's a simple solution. It's been done twice already. The ministry could update the standard. We've given them the work, and all of the due diligence is done in an industry-respected, non-biased way that represents multiple manufacturers. This is ready to go, and it should be accepted. It can be readily included. There is no reason for further. Thanks for listening.